jaksa katsoa sun naamaa.
Alright, so now it's time for episode 4 of the My Summer Car Guide. The hay bale job. Now, the most important thing, or most important tool you'll be needing on this job is the beer case. Now, back in the day, the beer case could be used to move the hay bales around because the beer case was treated as some kind of like physics object, but unfortunately that was patched a while back by Topless Gun. But the beer case is still useful with this job, and I'll get into why in a bit. In the My Summer Car map, there are 5 locations for the hay bales for this job. There are 9 hay bales near Grandma's house, 5 hay bales near the highway, 1 hay bale not far from the abandoned mansion heading towards town, 2 near the radio tower, and then across the road from the farm are the other 9 hay bales. One of them is already inside the shed. The first location I'm going to is near Grandma's house. Once you get near the first location I've marked on the map, you want to disconnect the trailer from the tractor and open the rear tailgate. Now, there are 2 types of hay bales that exist in the game. There are the ones that you see on the screen right now, which are these unwrapped, larger hay bales, and then these smaller wrapped ones, which are wrapped in some kind of plastic that are more compact. Now, these larger hay bales that are not wrapped in plastic are going to be lying on their side. What you want to do is you want to take your forks and you want to push them so they stand up vertically. After that, you want to line up the forks to as close to the center of the hay bale as possible, and then lower the arm so it lowers the forks and lifts the tractor off the ground. Now, obviously, you won't be able to steer, but that's why it's important to center as much as possible. Now, this is where the beer case part comes in. Typically, you won't be able to pick up the hay bale by just using the forks. So what you can do is you can use the beer case as sort of like a jack almost. You simply clip the beer case through the hay bale, and it will prop up the hay bale just enough so you can just slide the fork underneath the hay bale and lift it up. Now, once you do lift up the hay bale itself, if you feel like it's a bit cockeyed on one side, you can actually push it to one side of the forks by simply pressing the J key and pushing it with your hands. Now, once you think you've gotten the hay bale enough onto the fork, you can remove the beer case and then pick it up with the forks. Once you secured the hay bale onto the forks, you can lift it up with the arm controls. Now, you can actually speed up the speed of the arm by pressing the accelerator or using the hand throttle. Now, sometimes the hay bale might shift to one side or the other when you're lifting up the arm. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's some kind of weird physics bug. So just make sure to keep an eye on it. Make sure it doesn't slide all the way to the left or the right where it slides off. That's why you can see why I didn't lift it up all the way. Another thing to note is if you're on a keyboard and mouse, do not turn while you're moving. It could cause the hay bale to tip and fall off the forks. What you want to do is turn your wheel before you start moving. Now, if you want to control your throttle a little bit better, you can use a wheel, or you can use the hand throttle. The first time I tried doing this on a YouTube series, I think I had the wheel, so it was a lot easier for me to do that, control my throttle input and control my wheel. But if you're using keyboard and mouse, turn before you move forward, and use low gear if possible. Now, as you can see, all I had to do after that was just lower the forks, and then I lifted up the arm to push the hay bales into the trailer. Now, when you put the hay bales in the trailer, you want to stagger them. So, for example, I put mine on the left side first, so my next hay bale will be put on the right side. So you want to stagger them each time you put a hay bale into the trailer. This will ensure you can get the most amount of hay bales in the trailer. I know there are better ways to do it. I can get about 6 usually of the larger hay bales for this strategy. Now, you can also see in this clip here, I didn't have to use the beer case to push the hay bale onto the forks. Sometimes you get lucky and it just slides right on. I'm not sure if it's because I had the forks down very low or it was just a glitch or something. I'm not really sure how that works, but if that doesn't work, like I said, the beer case strategy is the best way to do it. You can simply put the beer case underneath the hay bale and lift it up off the ground enough to get the forks underneath the hay bale. And just like I said earlier, you want to stagger the hay bale. So now I have it on the right side of the trailer. So the next hay bale will be stacked on the left side. And that's pretty much it. Let's get the rest of these. And now, as you can see, I was able to load 6 hay bales into the back of the trailer. Now, obviously, I still have a couple left to pick up here, but I'll probably pick those up probably later on in this video. Okay, with that out of the way, we can go ahead and take these hay bales back to the farm. Now, the best part about the hay bale job is you can fuel up the tractor with the red gas pump, which is the fuel oil, and you will not get fined by the police if you have fuel oil in the tractor and you are carrying at least 1 hay bale in the back of the trailer. Now, there was one thing I forgot to mention actually in my last episode with the Ventti thing, is playing Ventti or winning money from Ventti does not add up to your net income. Now, your net income is basically like your yearly salary or monthly salary, whatever you want to call it. Basically like your monthly income kind of thing. And the higher your net income is, the more you'll get fined for problems with the police, like, you know, using fuel oil in the Gifu, or dumping sewage, or stuff like that. So if you want to just earn money solely from playing Ventti, all of your fines will pretty much be relatively low, to be honest. So it's definitely a good exploit, I suppose you could say. Okay, so you've arrived at the farm now. Now, I think the hardest part of this job is the unloading process, because, like I said, the beer case exploit is no longer available, so you have to, like, basically have to remove these, it's a little bit more difficult to remove them. Now, I must stress this, I can't stress this enough. When you're near the farm, make sure you keep an eye on where the farmer is, or you might run over by accident, or he might just bump into your tractor, and that will count as a collision, and you will kill it. Now, because there are 6 hay bales in the trailer right now, the trailer will not tip because it is too heavy. Even when I put the throttle on, it still won't tip. So what I usually do is I just drive forward about a couple hundred yards or so, and then reverse as quickly as I can into the rear wall of the shed. That should knock, I think, 1 or 2 of them out, so I can lift I can tip the trailer. Sometimes you can use the TV camera view to kind of get an exterior view of how many hay bales are left on the trailer, or see if any are close to falling off. Once you have enough of the hay bales off, you can tilt the trailer to try to kind of get them out. Usually you can actually use the roof of the shed to catch onto the edge of the hay bales and kind of slide them off. And if that doesn't work, just keep slamming the trailer into the rear wall of the shed until they get knocked off the trailer. It's a bit of a tedious process, but eventually you'll get it. I'm sure there's probably easier ways or better ways to do this. Like, you could probably just disconnect the trailer entirely and use the forks to push them off of the trailer. But I'm lazy and I don't really care for shit, so honestly, you can do whatever method you think works best for the trailer method anyway, for unloading. But as far as loading, I think my method is probably one of the better ones, as opposed to what's on the guide. Since I actually unloaded my hay bales quite early in the day, I decided to go back to town, refuel, and grab the last of the hay bales from where I was before. Now, if you want to just ignore sleeping and fatigue, and you want to just do this job in one setting, you technically can. Even at max fatigue, you won't die, and even if you do pass out on the highway and get hit by a truck and the tractor, you're not going to die. The only way you could die in the tractor, I think, is if you get hit by the train. So you're basically invincible in the tractor. Now, obviously, for the sake of my own sanity, or I guess just for the video, I decided to split this up into multiple sections. Obviously, it's going to be all part of the same video, but these hay bale retrievals have all been done over the course of several recording sessions. Personally, I used to do it where I would complete the hay bale job as soon as I started a new save, but now I've decided that honestly, the hay bale job is much better to be accomplished over the course of a couple weekends. Like, let's just say, you've done all your jobs for the week. You've done firewood, you've done emptying the septic tank, and you have nothing else to do. This is kind of a good way to kind of pass the time until Monday comes around again, where you can, go do some other job or something like that. After I got back to town, I decided to save my game to take a quick trip down to the Ventti shack to earn some more cash, and I figured that I would empty the hay bales at the farm in the morning. Before going to bed, I decided to buy some coffee from Temo so I can get an early start on dumping the hay bales I've already gathered and getting to the next hay bale location. Unfortunately, my trip to the next hay bale location was significantly longer because I had encountered a police checkpoint. Now, if I had hay bales in the back of the trailer, obviously I'd be able to pass through without getting fined. But because I had a tractor full of fuel oil and an empty trailer, I didn't want to get fined. So I had to go all the way back around. And yeah. Now we have reached the second hay bale location. This is the one by the highway as I labeled on the map earlier. So it's pretty much straightforward like before. I honestly do believe the plastic wrap hay bales are a little bit easier to load. But they're also a lot lighter, so I think you can push them around easier with your hands than the regular hay bales. And because they're more compact, you can fit more of them into the trailer. So that's pretty good, I guess. Now that you have the trailer fully loaded with hay bales, we can go ahead and head back to town. Now this is what I was saying earlier about the police fine. Because we have hay bales in the back, even though we have fuel oil, we won't get any police fine because we're like, doing a job or something. I don't know why, but it basically means we don't have to pay a fine. So we're basically all clear to go.
Ei jaksa katsoa sun naamaa. Aista piha!
Since I had to go pretty much all around the map 2 times, I had to refuel my tractor, and I took this opportunity to buy some food and buy some drinks for the road before I emptied the last of the hay bales for that day. I figured there was enough daylight left to grab some more of the hay bales, so I grabbed the lonely hay bale just a little ways away from the abandoned mansion. And then I decided to leave the trailer at the second to last hay bale spot overnight so I could go to sleep. After these 2, it's only just the 9 left over by Tavaka's farm, so pretty much almost done at this point. After a hard day's work, I got some well-deserved sausage and french fries. And then after I proceeded to drink enough coffee to give a normal man a heart attack, I decided it was a good idea to save my game so I could go play another quick round with the Ventti dealer. It appears Penna must have crashed into Petteri on the way back from town, or maybe Petteri crashed into Penna on the way back from the dance hall. Either way, I mean, free booze for me. I didn't have to pay anything at all. I decided to leave him in the little store by the inspection shop temporarily, just to make sure I don't lose him. And there we go. That is the last of the hay bales. It's finally done. It took me 3 IRL days to do this. So I'm really glad to get it done. Now, you'll typically find Tavaka wandering around the farm, but if you can't find him, just save and reload, and he should spawn right at the entrance of the farm. Luckily, I was able to spot him just as I was leaving. And there we go, 3,500 marks for the completed hay bale job. It's finally done. So there you go. So if you're now, one thing I will say, if you have the Panier 250 mod, I would recommend disabling the mod before you finish the hay bale job. That way you can still get the money, and even if you enable the mod after you've done the hay bale job, you'll find the keys for the Panier in the mailbox at your house. So you're still gonna get the car anyway. There you go, everybody. That about wraps it up for the this episode and how to finish and do the hay bale job. A pretty straightforward job. I mean, pretty easy once you know what you're doing. It's just very long and very, very tedious. And that's why I said earlier that you should. It's better to be done over the course of a couple weekends rather than all at once. If you want to do it all at once, by all means, knock yourself out. I mean, I did it, but I hated it. Anyway, that's all for this episode. Have a good night.